Also, we need to tweak the brick texture because the bricks are a little bit more pushed out of the plaster texture, so we need to make them a little bit more brighter as a whole. So let's take all those, make a little bit more dramatic adjustments to the levels, make it a little bit more brighter than the plaster texture. So now it looks okay, so let's save it with the same name but with bump, and remember to remove the off channel, we don't need that inside of Maya. So let's go back in Maya, go to the material properties, and let's tweak the under the bump tab. We have the overall bump, so we can click that checkered icon and we can place a file node there, and the bump depth will tweak that later. So let's remove the filtering type and select the bump map. So the bump, let's just try rendering with 1. You can see that the result will be too strong. See the texture is too rough at the moment. So with the bump depth we can tune down the effect of the bump texture. So let's try several different numbers. This looks much more subtle. Let's try a little bit bigger one, 200 instead of 150. This seems a reasonable amount of bump. I think we can try is darken up the plaster with the curves, with the Ctrl M is the shortcut. So you can do the same with the levels. So I'm just trying to darken it a little bit more, so it have a bigger contrast between the plaster and the brick texture. So I'm just going to substitute it without texture. Now let's remember to reload the texture. So let's try rendering again. Now you can see that the bricks are pushed a little bit more further from the actual plaster wall. So this is the whole image rendered with the bump map on. It looks much better. So we can tweak a little bit more the opacity of the spot beneath the window. It looks a little bit, just a little bit darker than what it should be. So let's reload the color texture and try render that region beneath the window. That seemed much better and subtle. It was too strong before. Next thing to texture is the window frame. So I've already created the UV snapshot of from the UV texture editor. So this is the UVs for the window frame. So this is the UV snapshot, and again the same thing. Going to put the blending mode to screen, and this is the main texture I'm going to use for the whole frame. So during the window we have this reddish color. The thing with this texture is that it's a it's a set of planks, but that gives us a problem that the actual gap between the planks, we need to remove that. So duplicated the texture, so we have a lower one for a lighter use. I've rotated it 90 degrees, and I'm going to, with the clone tool, and holding shift, sampling and holding shift, removing those gaps between the planks. It's a nice way to get even texture. So I'm continuing doing the same thing, just sampling, holding shift, and removing the actual gap. So the only thing that needs this vertical texture are those pieces here. The one to the right is a concrete slab that's beneath the window, and the other two need horizontal texture, so I'm just going to do that now. I'm going to duplicate the texture that we just created and place it beneath the one that we've cut. So this is the concrete texture I'm going to use for the slab that's beneath the window frame. I'm just going to scale it down, place it into position, and save it. Remove the off channel and make sure it's 32 bits. Let's assign a new material, material X. Let's give it an appropriate name. So let's foreground house window material. Let's create the texture for the color slot. Let's select the texture. Also remember the filter type to set it to off. And yeah, I forgot again to remove the wireframe. So let's reload the texture. So that's better. Also, let's tweak the reflection, because we would have a moderate amount of reflection, but it's not that straight. It's much more blurred. So this is the render frame. It looks pretty nice. The actual window. When combined with the wood of the bench to create a nice color difference between the right window, the red bench, and the windows on the right building, which will be green, as well as the fence. So I'm just starting creating the bump map for the window frame. Just duplicate it again, created a group of all the textures, duplicated it, and just desaturated all of them. Filtering type off, and just creating the file texture in the, again, in the overall bump slot of the material, the material X. So there is a pretty nice difference. I don't know if you can see it in this resolution and video compression, but there is a tiny little bit of difference that just pop-ups the details. Also, one thing we need to do is probably bevel this bottom slab. So I just separated the whole mesh. I'm just going to bevel it. I'm just going to throw several settings on the segments, 1, 2, or 3 segments. As you can see in the render, the line on the slab was just too sharp. And it's in the foreground of the camera, so it's nice to have a little bit more detail, so it catches nice reflections.